lifestyle gear proudly, fellas. And it is rare, but it has happened. It might win you some cool stuff. Here's Pissed Off Owl, by the way. Desert coloration patch. Very popular at the web store. Can't discontinue it. Guys won't allow it. We tried several times. Very popular. And then you have Alert Owl. Shark stickers, shark patches, and I think we're out of these. And this is my old squadron coin. Sorry, not for sale. But it can, in rare circumstances, score you stuff like, I don't know, a free gun. Transfer to your FFL for you. Ran into a dude who was sporting, it wasn't a shark sticker, it was an owl sticker on his SUV. We got a picture of it. We found out who he was, and actually I tweeted it on the account and said, hey, if this is your car, contact us at the PO box and you win a free gun. And he did, and he got the gun. Boom. Yes, it happens. Regardless of what state I see you in, if I see a sticker on your car, I will take a picture of it, I'll put it on my Twitter page, and if you can claim it, you'll get something. Free knives, free guns, all according to your state law. Sorry, we have to do it that way, but you'll get something if I personally see it. So website at the top. We have shirts, we have patches and stickers. Yes, shameless promotion to keep us, as we've always have been, financially independent here in the project. Oh, by the way, this is going to be a fun gun review. Every pistol I'm going to throw on the table I absolutely love. They're all combat, go to war ready, primary handguns, as I sometimes have called them. Now we're talking about me being independent, the whole project and such. Some of that is I buck what are sometimes called tactical trends. That this is the way you absolutely have to do something to be cool. There's all kinds of examples of how I do that. For instance, I shoot with my finger on a trigger guard. That's not a tactical trend. It's considered ridiculous, and yet I can, you know, hit a plate at 100 yards doing that if I want to. But it's not a trend, and it's not approved. Another thing is that there's a lot of guys in, I guess I should say the industry, that really like the small compact primary combat handgun. A good example of this is the Glock 19, which, by the way, I love. I've raved about it. It's super high on my likability scale. Highly recommended. One of the very first semi-automatic combat handguns I ever purchased, 1989. Talked about it. Go watch my review, updated review a couple years ago on the Glock 19. However, if given a choice, and knowing that I'm going to wear a side holster, maybe it's an LBE mounted, chest mounted holster, but it's going to be kind of what I've always called a primary combat handgun. Usually I will not opt for that smaller form factor. What I go for, and what I love, and what gets me excited, because, well, a lot of reasons, are the longer slide versions. Like my Glock 34, which is one of my all-time GTW favorite pistols. The G34. It's just excellent in so many ways. It's light, super accurate, super reliable, affordable, all kinds of configurations you can put on it. Geez, I just love this gun. And it makes a lot of sense having it here as a competitive option, because I'm going to show you this Walther here in a second, and maybe we'll bounce back and forth. So I love the G19, but if I have a really high propensity of going to my handgun, maybe it's my only weapon that I have, and I'm talking firearm version, then the G34 is probably going to go along for the ride. For very little extra weight, I get a longer slide, I get more velocity, I get a longer sight radius, which is easier for me to shoot, to hit at longer ranges, maybe faster shot recovery with the G34 versus the others, and other guys' experience could be totally different. That's me. I buck the trends. I'm independent. That's why I'm so stoked on this pistol. And I have reviewed a couple Walthers lately, and there are a couple of their designs which just get so many things right. Value, accuracy, reliability, design, ergonomics, everything. And that's why I have to break out into its own review. The Walther PPQ M2 5-inch version. Available in 9mm and 40. This is the 9 preferred. This is as good as that. It is. It really is. And we're talking about philosophy of use, right? Primary combat handgun. Meaning I'm not really trying to carry this thing concealed. It's visible. It's open carry, fast access, something like I said, on the mounting options I've already mentioned. The M2 5-inch version of the PPQ excites me in the same way the G34 does over a 19, or maybe a smaller extent the 17. The 17 and the 34 are very close in my perception about, for me, as a primary combat handgun, which I would go for. They shoot very similarly for me. But the longer slide PPQ, it really settles the gun down. It's like that it imbues me with more confidence to hit faster and at longer ranges. Now keep in mind, I'm a big fan and one of the first just totally enthusiastic proponents of the PPQ series. I called it a sniper's pistol. Sold a whole truckload for Walther. I know because I've talked to you guys and you said, yeah, I bought the PPQ off your review. I absolutely love it. It's one of my all-time favorite pistols. I think this might be worthy of your look to add to your PPQ collection. Now, I have a PPQ M1, or the non-push button safety version. This is, of course, the M2, and that would be a primary difference if you are an owner of the original. So, downside to that is I had to go buy a whole different set of magazines for this. Wah, wah. I know. Not great. But they're not super expensive. Maybe we'll make mention of that. But it, to me, rises to the same level as a G34 for a GTW pistol. Home defense gun. Superb. There's a lot of pistols I roll in front of this camera and I go, not my first choice for home defense. Usually it's because they don't have a night sight version and they don't have an accessory rail where I can identify my target, which is super, super critical. Right? This has it all. And not only that, you can put on a combined illumination laser module and it won't even stick past the barrel for the PPQ 5-inch version. The other stuff I think you get in philosophy of use. I was really debating in this video, by the way, of just ripping through it and going, how much do I review? I've already reviewed the PPQ so much. Usually with this, I will kind of make it self-contained for you guys. I think you know that. Size, weight, balance, and feel of this, and we have the G34 on the table, so in comparison, I'll start off with a negative. This is a little bit thicker than that. 1.345 inches and I think 1.18 inches for that. Let me make sure I'm telling you right, because sometimes I'm going off memory and memory doesn't serve. Glocks are 1.18. Yeah, so 30 millimeter, 1.18 inches. That's a 17, same width as that. Now, is that super important as a holstered handgun? It is something. It's something worth taking into account, but I don't know if it's super important. Super important. Super important is weight, though, and it's pretty much the same weight as that pistol, maybe even a little bit lighter. The long slide version of the PPQ is 26 ounces. Basically the same as that. Huge. 5-inch barrel, basically the same as that. With that in mind, let's take a quick flyby of the Walther PPQ M2 5-inch version, just for posterity, for self-containment. As you can imagine, it's very similar to the 4-inch barreled pistol, of course, except for this. Have some milling of the longer slide, so it has a reduced mass for reliability. This is, after all, just a 9mm. Still has that super cool, good looking, functional, tapered slide. Grasping grooves fore and aft. I never use these up front. Maybe you press check up here. I don't. I always come back here. But if you want, it's there. Super high quality barrel. We talked about the accessory rail already. Squared off trigger. Hey, that looks familiar. Like it. And you can see it's actually more roomy than the Glock trigger guard. See that? With gloves, that is a player. One of the criticisms I've always said about Glock is my finger does drag on the inside bottom of the trigger guard. You know, is it a big deal for me? No. But it happens. This one is roomier. undercut trigger guard here, so you can get a nice high grip on it. Again, this is the M2 push button version, and I think that is swappable for you lefties. Speaking of which, so is the slide release. You can swap it left or right. It's a great ambi pistol, the M2, PPQ M2, especially the 5-inch. I just love this gun. Serrated top of the slide, is that needed? Not really. I've never complained about shooting Glocks and going, you know, I'm getting sun coming off, I can't see where I'm shooting. It's never happened. All types of sight options for the Walther PPQ series, and I think they will run P99 sights as well. Could be off on that. I think they do fit. It is, after all, a takeoff on that gun in some ways. These sights are good though. They're metal, standard 3-dot variety. They are adjustable for windage. I have seen problems with this on PPQs where this just does not interface well with the screw and the whole rear sight assembly has an issue. That's kind of endemic to the whole P99 series. I've seen that with the TP9 as well, the Canik TP9. That's easily remedied by just putting on aftermarket sights, maybe some MEPS or something like that. I don't know offhand all the different makers which make the night sights, if that's what you want. Takedown, super simple, like we talked about years ago. I'm not going to show it here. Tenifer coated slide, awesome. Great stippling, interchangeable back straps here. And speaking of the grip, once again, it is one of my all-time favorite grips. Yes, even better than the Glock. I like this grip better. Doesn't mean I can't shoot this well, doesn't mean I'm annoyed by it, but you know, in an academic setting like this where I'm comparing and contrasting, this one is better for me. I like the angle better, I like how it feels the hand better. That's what she said. And you can interchange the back straps. I always leave the medium size back strap on all the pistols. Really super low bore axis. Follow-up shots come quick, they're fun and fast, and that will take us to the trigger, which has always been absolutely phenomenal on PPQs. One of my favorite things. And you notice no magazine disconnect safety, just as before. We're going to pull actually this trigger and maybe the G34 and maybe another special guest competitive option. What do you think this will pull at, by the way? The PPQ. Oh, 414. We'll call it 413. Super quick reset trigger. It is a short, what is it, 0.4 inches of trigger pull, and then your reset is like 1/10 of an inch. Right there. I've talked a lot about reset, I won't do it here. But if you love short reset pistols, dude, this is it. This is it. Speaking of which, they have a competitive version of it. This, of course, isn't it. It's one that is optics capable, so it has a milled out slide. I think it has an even better trigger, and that's called the Q5 Match of the Walther PPQ. Q5 Match, and that is also a 5-inch barreled pistol, 15 rounder, and weighing at about 26 ounces. So it's basically the same gun, milled out, different trigger, really meant for the competitor, I guess. Okay, features review. I think that's most of the stuff that you guys will care about. Firepower is okay. In a standard magazine, it's 15 rounds, and I think this is a Walther brand magazine. I have to label it as M2 so I don't confuse it with the other one. I think this is a 17 rounder. You can see it extends out longer. Is that a big deal? I don't know. For everything else you get with the PPQ formula, you know, I can deal with it. Oh yeah, I said I was going to pull the trigger. Here comes a Glock 34. I can't remember if I put a 3.5 pound connector in this or not. I don't think this one does. I think it's completely stock. What? 4 pounds, 8 ounces. I was not expecting that of the G34. And I did promise a special guest. Here he comes, the XDM 525. Oh, Daddy like him some 525 as well. I really love this gun. It's heavier than both of these guns. It really is. And I reviewed this one years ago. I love the 525. A lot of cool things about it. It doesn't have a higher bore axis. It's going to be a couple ounces heavier. Has the M-block grip on it, which I like. It has a grip safety, which I've never liked. Excellent sights. Man, what a clean sight picture. It's super accurate. tons of firepower. I think, what is this, a 19 round magazine as it comes from the factory, and you get 3. So that's pretty excellent. The disadvantage, of course, is SAWC. It's going to be a little bit thicker, definitely a lot heavier than the M2 PPQ 5-inch. Let's look at the sight radiuses while we're here. Pretty close, dude. Pretty close to the same. And we're going to talk about trigger pull here. The trick is you always have to remember to pull this freaking back strap. Hey, if the back strap was so awesome, how come all guns don't have it? 613. That doesn't surprise me a bit. That's about what I think. But the XDM still is a Hall of Fame go-to-war pistol for me. All 3 of these really, they're so similar as far as their capabilities for me as a shooter go. Very similar. Yes, there's differences in firepower. These are better than that unless you go with the extended magazine. But are we really splitting hairs? Kind of. They all have the same position of magazine release. Their sight radiuses are bigger. You're going to get more velocity and better performance out of, I wouldn't say all, but most cartridges for the 9mm at least. I say that because so many now are so advanced and they have faster burning powders. They're much less dependent on barrel length than they used to be. Like in the 90s, for instance. It used to be a big deal. I think all 3 of these guns are going to be similarly accurate. That is to say, outstanding in accuracy. Super quick, let's take a look at the M2 while we're here. This is 17 yards standing, the very first shots shooting American Eagle. This is in February in the snow. Out of that gun. Yeah, I was happy. That's standing. This is 8 yards standing, American Eagle. 1 hole, 1 hole, 1 hole, 1 hole. Not 1 hole, not 1 hole. 7 yards standing at night in the desert. Probably that same day. Nice group, nice group. 1 hole, 1 hole, 1 hole. Not 1 hole. American Eagle. This gun right here. These are pairs. This is some goofy target. It'll probably give you a headache if you look at it too long. So I'm shooting double taps fast. So there's, you can see what I did here. I'll show you footage of this somewhere along the way. This is more than double taps. That's 4 rounds. That got an up arrow. That got a down arrow. Good. Now this is, oh, that's 10 yards though. 10 yards standing. So that's challenging to do double taps on a target this small. They're basically the size, some of these, of playing cards. Incidentally, both these guns can do the same thing. They're extremely accurate. Here I'm just doing singles at 7 yards. This is shooting federal. 1, 1, 1, 1. Most of these are close to dead center, showing how accurate and ergonomic actually it is to shoot this gun. And did I show you this one already? I think I did. If I didn't, I'll show it to you again. Boop. Accuracy, therefore, of the PPQ 5-inch version, M2 variety, stellar. In other words, I'll give the highest level I can give it. The ones where I wasn't shooting 1 hole were my fault. I'm sure I was screwing up something in my marksmanship fundamentals. How about accessories? And we're going to focus in on this and we'll come back as we end the video, talk about competitive options. What would I put on my PPQ? I've talked about that before, but in this long sight version, nothing. How's that for an answer? I would not put anything on it. I would just get more magazines. I would run the sights as they are. If I really needed night sights, I'd do it. Maybe I'd do a illumination module of some sort. Definitely needs no trigger work. It needs no modifications as I see it. Maybe if you want to colorize it, you could, you know, Cerakote it or something. Rock on. That's what you want. I don't see a need. As far as customizability and accessories for all 3 of these pistols, I think the Glock still wins. You have so many accessories for it. Trigger modifications, sights, slide mods, magazines, even Magpul's making magazines for them now, all types of holsters. Same with the XDM. The XDM is a predominant design, very popular design. Like I said, every pistol on this table is really neck and neck in terms of its capabilities and its GTW-ness. Its GTW-ness. How about value? How about it's totally worth it? Totally worth it. Would I choose a PPQ M2 5-inch version over any of these pistols? I really can't answer that because I'm not going to play favorites. I'm going to say they're all equal. The only thing I'll say about the XDM is that it is heavier, and if I'm going to be going somewhere, hiking, carrying other gear, this one will lose out for me. It just will. And not will, it has. So when I do like an op-red skies or something, the G34 or the 17 goes, or sniper's pistol, as I call it, the PPQ version of it. And I wouldn't hesitate a bit making it the long slide version because it weighs pretty much the same as the other one. What was it? 26 ounces versus 24.5 ounces. Going with the long slide version of that. All three of the pistols are amazing. Track record and reliability, this will be super quick. How about perfect? Of all my PPQ pistols, including this one, perfect. No jams, no issues, no stovepipes, no light primer strikes, just perfect. Oh man, what a great gun. Are there any others on the table I'm not considering? How about the Canik TP9 SFX? That is a competitive version of it. It is 30 ounces, so it's going to be kind of the weight of the XDM. It has a ventilated top, 6.2 inch barrel. The Canik TP9 SFX. It is a competition focused pistol. As of yet, I don't see H&K VP9 doing a long slide version. I do think they sell. I'm just not really sure how super popular they are. For me, I still like the long slide option in a go-to-war handgun. Again, that means my primary gun is not a tactical carbine, not a rifle, not a shotgun. It's going to be the pistol. So for me, I'm going to do everything I can to increase the capabilities of said pistol, said handgun. Longer sight radius, slightly increased velocity, faster follow-up shots for me. That means one of these three pistols will come along for the ride. And definitely the Walther PPQ M2 5-inch version is in the mix. Totally. Love it. Highly recommended. Net fancy.